How's it going, wrestling fans? The Ringside Seat Podcast is back at you with Road Block, End of the Line, pay-per-view prediction show. As always, it's been a while, but we're back now. And as always, I'm your host, Dreamcast Phil.
I'm Jake Ryan, is Epic.
And I'm me, Just Billy.
Finals got to the best of us, guys. There's no other way to put it. We had to take a little time off, but now we're back just in time for Road Block, End of the Line at the PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Raw exclusive pay-per-view, and what I believe is the last pay-per-view of 2016. We're going to go into it with the pre-show match. We have Rusev and Big Cass. This appears to be on the pre-show. It looks like that's how this is going to go. I have Big Cass winning this with the feud that Rusev and Enzo and indirectly what Big Cass is having. I think Big Cass is going to win with Enzo returning to cost Rusev the victory after the beatdown that happened in the hotel. That whole skit I found very entertaining. That's a different conversation for another time. But I got Big Cass beating Rusev here.
I disagree. I think I'm going to have to go with Rusev.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Rusev too, thinking that him picking up the win will kind of prolong the feud a little bit longer.
Yeah, my one thing with this is, to my knowledge, I think Big Cass has only been pinned once on TV, and that was in the Fatal 4-Way match for the Universal title. So I think maybe they're working on a way to keep that going. But we'll have to see on Sunday. The next one, we have the Raw Tag Team Champions, the New Day, after breaking the record of longest reigning Tag Team Champions previously held by Demolition, against my favorite tag team, Cesaro and Sheamus. And I feel like we've seen this match so many times, especially on pay-per-view, and even more so on Raw recently. I do think this is the time they finally get it done. They've broken the record. They don't have any reason to hold the belts even more. Cesaro and Sheamus are finally starting to get along. They come closer and closer to being New Day every time. I think this is the time to finally get it done and win the tag team titles.
In the history of us doing predictions, I have almost exclusively predicted against the New Day, and I've always lost. So naturally, I feel like I should learn my lesson. But I believe that since the New Day are now the longest reigning tag champs in company history, and now that Cesaro and Sheamus are on the same page, I feel like I have to go with Cesaro and Sheamus.
Looks like this is going to be a unanimous decision, boys. Thinking with them winning or breaking the record, New Day being the longest tag team champions in WWE history, I think that's like the cherry on top of their reign. And like Phil said, what else is there for them to do? So I think Cesaro and Sheamus are going to pick up the win and finally, solidify their tag team.
Do you think they'll stick around when they lose, or do you think they'll split up?
I think they'll be around for a little bit. I was actually going to say that I think they're so over now to the point that even without the titles, they're really not going to lose much steam. So I could see them being around, for a good while longer. I do think they will eventually break up. I don't think this is going to be their entire careers, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime, immediately.
Do a Shield thing.
Sure, something like that.
Yeah, I definitely see New Day sticking around for a while.
They're definitely one of the most over things going on Raw today, and they definitely need more of those. The next one, we have Braun Strowman taking on Sami Zayn in a match with a 10-minute time limit. And to me, this is kind of simple. We don't get matches with time limits anymore. This isn't Mid-South Wrestling. Jim Cornette's not a booker, so time limits aren't normally a thing here. So for this, I'm going to say that it is a time limit draw. And I'm not sure if I can do that. Let's go to the judges. Can I predict a time limit draw? They're saying yes, I can do that. So I'm going to go with a time limit draw. Sami Zayn lasts 10 minutes with Braun Strowman. My real big question is, can Braun Strowman even go 10 minutes?
Oh, that certainly is an interesting question. And most of his matches since the brand split have not even been 2, I would imagine. And to be honest, Phil, I didn't actually expect you to say a time limit draw. I was actually kind of considering saying it myself, but now the more I thought about it, I think I may go with Braun.
I'm gonna have to go with the time limit draw as well, and to the question Phil brought up, I think Sami Zayn can carry Braun Strowman for 10 minutes, as paradoxical as that sounds.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's going to do it, it would be him.
I think Sami Zayn could have a match with a bucket, and it could get at least 3 stars.
Right. I mean, I could see this having a cat and mouse concept to it. I do think again, if anyone's going to do it, it would be Sami Zayn. So we're going to have to wait and see. Next, we have the triple threat for the Cruiserweight Championship. Rich Swann against the other 2 former champions in this incarnation of the title. T.J. Perkins and the Brian Kendrick. I'm going to say that Rich Swann retains the title here. They seem to be pushing him very well. I think the next guy to win this belt is going to be Cedric Alexander. I think he's got a slow burn going here. Unless they really push Jack Gallagher to the moon, and as we've talked off air, I never liked him in the beginning, but I'm really starting to come around with him. But as far as this goes, I see no reason to take the belt off of Rich Swann right now. I think he needs it. He's slowly getting over as the champion.
I am picking Rich Swann because TJ and Brian can't handle this all night long.
Yep, I'm going to have to agree with you guys. Go with Rich Swann on this one. I think he's just picking up momentum, and I think this should be an interesting title run for him.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely surprised when he won it on 205 Live. That's I think the jury's still out on if this is a good show or not, or at least the way they're doing it. That could be something for another time. But yeah, it was definitely a surprise. It's definitely refreshing to see him with it. So we'll see if he can hang on to it on Sunday. Next, we have the 30-minute Iron Man match for the Iron Woman match, I should say, for the Raw Women's Championship. Sasha Banks against Charlotte for the 912th time this year. I'm going to say that...
I feel like it's more like 10,000.
Yeah, it's over 9,000, to quote a certain Saiyan Prince. But I'm going to say that Sasha Banks finally breaks Charlotte's pay-per-view streak of, being undefeated on pay-per-view, because this has to be the last match of this, for at least for a long while. I'm not saying they'll never face each other again. It's impossible for that to happen. But I think after this, I think Charlotte wins. I keep saying that. Sasha Banks wins, and she finally goes on and competes against other women for the title. This feud has gone on long enough in this stint of it, so it definitely needs to end after this.
Yeah, and I definitely pick Sasha here, but and we all like to talk about how this feud has been going on pretty much all year, but you got to admit this is still a pretty damn good rivalry. I mean, these 2 women have obvious chemistry. They both put on great matches on Raw and pay-per-view, but I think in the question of longevity, I think it has to end here. But my pick is definitely Sasha.
Oh yeah, this feud is definitely going to be going down in history as one of the classics. Like one to look back upon years from now as something that sticks out. But I think with a great beginning, there is always a great end, and I think this one is going to come to an end with Sasha Banks picking up the win, and to see them kind of go back at it again in the future, we'll just kind of be able to reminisce of, how awesome their feud has been.
Yeah, I don't think this feud has had, a bad match, really. I just do think it is time for them to, at least for now, go off and do, other things. Because, we've seen things like this before. I don't think we've seen anything like it, really, in the women's division. But, there's always those feuds, for a while, it was Rollins and Ambrose. They could, those fight forever feuds. They could, be away for a while, and then something happens where they end up facing each other again, and it kicks it right back up. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens comes to mind. That's a feud that'll never fully be over. Looks like Nakamura and Joe. I think it'll eventually carry over to the main roster. So it's good to see the women's division have a rivalry like that, but it's definitely time, to let them work against other people, at least for the time being. Next up, we have Chris Jericho, the owner of the list, the most over thing in wrestling today, against Seth freaking Rollins. I went back and forth on this one a little bit. I'm going to say that, Chris Jericho tells Kevin Owens, whatever you do not interfere in my match, do not help me tonight. And he doesn't listen, and he tries to help him, and he costs him the match, and Seth Rollins gets the win.
Again, this was a similar thing with me and the New Day, in that every time I pick against the New Day, they always win. And it seems like ever since we started this, every time I pick against Jericho, he always seems to win, even though he is 40-something years old, and that he is always concerned about a list. But I digress. Again, I think I have to go with Rollins because, I think logically with going against the feud, I see Rollins winning.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with Rollins as well. What you said, Phil, makes sense, having Jericho be interrupted by Kevin Owens just to kind of add some more rift to their, tag team or them being best friends, which will eventually, hopefully, culminate in a match between them at some point. But yeah, I'm going to have to go with Rollins on this one.
Yeah, I think the writing's definitely on the wall that we're eventually going to see, that title match. Some people are saying, have it at WrestleMania. I think, to me, it just seems more of a Royal Rumble type main event that I could definitely see. That's definitely something that would headline a show like that and could make for good things. Next, we have the main event of the evening. We have the Universal Championship. We got Kevin Owens against the United States Champion, Roman Reigns. If you didn't realize Roman Reigns was United States Champion, I wouldn't blame you because the way he carries his belt is the most annoying thing on TV today. But nonetheless, Roman is attempting to be a double champion, holding up both belts like he did at the end of Monday Night Raw this past week. I'm going to go Kevin Owens. I think Jericho comes out to aid Kevin Owens, and he almost costs him the match, but it's almost the same thing, the difference being Kevin Owens finds a way to still win. I don't think Roman's going to be a double champion. I think he needs to drop the U.S. title if he's going to be a serious contender for the Universal title.
Again, I was kind of going back and forth, and I really love Kevin Owens. I think he's one of the best heels in the company right now. But my mind keeps pointing me towards Roman because I feel like Roman is still the chosen one, even though he is the United States champion, and although he does carry his belt like he is a senior in high school. But I still have to go with Roman.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Phil on this one and go with Kevin Owens picking up the win. And I sure hope Roman doesn't become a double champion. That would just put salt into a wound that is Roman Reigns.
Yeah, it's probably going to happen because you know how much WWE listens to their fans.
I mean, the one positive of this, the last couple times we've seen double champions, like with Rollins, that would mean he drops the U.S. title fairly soon. When somebody wins a double title, they don't tend to keep them both for a very long time. So that would be the one, bright moment of that. But aside from that, there are the predictions. We will see everybody, Sunday night. Hope you enjoy the show. Check our Twitter account, the RSS Podcast, for Phil's drinking rules, the thing I do every show. So everybody have a good one, and I'm Dreamcast Phil.
I'm Jake Ryan is Epic.
And I am the champ that runs the camp. I'm me, just Billy.
And like always, guys, tune in next time. We'll save you a seat.